Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I was sitting here getting ready for church and I figured I've had a lot of people ask me about my foundation routine. So I thought I would just film just that part today. So I'm going to go from my skincare products all the way through bronzer and highlighting and blush. Just the whole foundation routine up until it's time to start working on the eyes and the lips. So if you'd like to see my foundation routine, I'm calling it Foundation 101. Please keep watching. Okay, before I came on today, I cleansed my face with Purity Made Simple by Philosophy. It's my favorite cleanser. It's just very gentle. It removes all traces of dirt and makeup, and it's a little bit pricey, but if you find a really good deal on it, it's worth it. But I start off with moisturizing my skin and my lips and my under eye. For my lips, I use the Best Damn Lip Mask. That's the name of it, Best Damn Lip Mask, and it's from the line created by Nicole, Guerriero, and it's just a very thick emollient, and I like to put it on my lips while I'm getting ready. That way, by the time I'm ready to get to my lips, it has had time to sink in, and my lips are nice and moisturized, and they're actually feeling really good today, because earlier today, I used the Maybelline lip scrub, and so they feel nice and exfoliated, and this will just make them softer and plumper. But I just really love this product, and I've been using it for a good 3 months, and I've barely made a dent in it. So it's a little bit pricey, but they did have sets with this included in it on HauteLook, and that's where I got it. I really like her moisturizer and also her overnight moisturizer. It's kind of like a mask, but you leave it on overnight, and when you wake up in the morning and wash your face, so soft and just firm and supple. So I start with that, and I've just recently found these products. I got them, I believe, in a QVC Today's Special Value, but it is by IT Cosmetics, and it's the Bye Bye Under Eye Cream and the Confidence in a Cream. And these are just both really good at moisturizing and doing everything that you need to do to prep your skin for makeup, but they're also light enough to where you can put primers over them and nothing peels up on it, and they sink in very quickly. And so you can go right from moisturizing right into your foundation and you don't have any problem. So I just use my weakest finger, my ring finger, to go in. This is like a really nice light blue eye cream, and I just go right in and put it on. I guess go kind of heavy on the bottom underneath my eye. And then after that, with whatever's left on my finger, I go back over the top. And the reason I don't put much on the top is because I don't want my eyelids to have any kind of oiliness that's going to prevent my eyeshadows from sticking on and staying put. And that one doesn't seem to have a scent at all. This one has a really light lemon scent. And I'm not even a fan of citrus scents, but this one is really light and really mild, and it's actually really refreshing, and I just really like the scent of it, I guess. I'm big on the way that things smell, and if they don't smell good, I really don't want to put them on my face. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this to my face. Sometimes I have to go back. I like to bring it all the way down my neck and just put a little bit more. At this point, after I have that all worked in, I do give it a few minutes to really sink in. What I ordinarily do is I just go ahead and get everything else prepared for what's coming next. Now, everything that I'm getting ready to show you is after lots of trials and lots of errors, lots of tweaks. This is my best practice. This is what works best for me. Of course, I'm 46, so I've got some texture. I've got some fine lines and wrinkles that I'm dealing with. And sometimes people who are watching this are younger and won't need all the products that I need. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with the baby skin. Like I said, this is kind of a silicone based. Some people don't like that, but I really enjoy it. I think it really helps my foundation go on smoother. And so I just dot that in the various areas of my face where I have some texture and wrinkles, or just anywhere that I think needs some smoothing. And I go in and go ahead and work that in. Start in the center of my face and work my way out. And make sure that's all nice and patted in. After that, I grab my primer water and just give myself a nice refreshing little spritz. Give that a few moments to dry, kind of fan myself. And fan myself, and fan myself. Okay, starting off with this new bottle of CoverGirl. I love this foundation. It is pretty high coverage. I would say medium coverage. And I start off with usually around 2 pumps, and I just put it on the back of my hand. If I need more later, I go back in. But I just start off by dotting it onto my face towards the center of my face. This is kind of my summer shade. In the wintertime, I have to go a little bit lighter, but I have a little bit of tan going on. And I'm Native American in heritage, and so I tan very quickly and very easily. Once I have that just dotted on, I go in with the paddle brush, and I just use this to basically just distribute it, smooth it around. I'm not really trying to blend it in at this point. I always love the Beauty Blender for that purpose, but this just kind of gives a nice layer everywhere. And I love this particular brush because it's big and it covers a lot of area, and it does so quickly. Just like that. After I've done that, I'll take my Real Technique sponge, and it's pretty wet, so I keep a towel on my lap, and I just go through, put it inside and squeeze it, and make sure the majority of the moisture is out. We don't want it sopping wet. We just want it kind of damp. It definitely needs to have some moisture in it to help shear out the product and just distribute it, but you don't want it to be sopping wet, or it's just going to remove what you're trying to put on. So I like the flat end of this for the foundation purpose. And so I just go in starting and dotting, or start pouncing actually right where I need the most coverage. Places of discoloration, things that I want to cover up or at least make less obvious. Start there and then work my way out, kind of like I did with the primer. And beauty blenders and makeup sponges are kind of notorious for sucking up product, and they do. But I would say it would average about 1 extra pump of foundation. So I'm going back in with 1 more. And that's what I love about beauty sponges, is that you can really build up coverage in the places that you need it, and then go through, and it just kind of gives an overall smoothness, and I really like that. One thing that I like about this particular foundation too is that it doesn't dry immediately. It's not a matte finish. I think I would call it a satin finish, because it's kind of in between. It's definitely not really dewy, but it's not matte either, and it just kind of really gives a nice finish to the skin. I just go through and take the rest of whatever's left on my sponge and just really blend very well, make sure everything is nicely distributed. I kind of go into my hairline a little bit so I don't leave a line. Make sure my neck is transitioned down, if there's no line there. And that's about it for the foundation. At this point, I go in with my color correction, which is the Tarte CC color corrector, this right here. And I take a very small amount on my ring fingers, or I dip my entire thumbnail into it. I can be a train wreck. So about this much on my ring fingers, and I just go up into the innermost part of my eye where I have the most darkness, pat it in there, and then kind of work my way out. Cover the under eye area. I also like to go right into the inner corner because I have darkness there as well. And just pat that out. I don't use any sponge or tool at this point because once I put my concealer on and blend that out, it just naturally blends out. I think the warmth of my fingers kind of melts that into the skin already. I start with the light medium Tarte Shape Tape. Best concealer ever, at least for me and my aging under eyes. Like I said, these are my best practices. These are the things that I have found that make me look the best and work the best, so that's what I use. And I just go in and make a kind of a triangle formation and I dot it. This most definitely does not need to be like swiped on where it's just a solid line of concealer because you just don't need that much. It's very pigmented. May spot conceal a few places that are standing out. And just as a finishing touch, I take my really light one that I bought before I could get the light medium, and I just put a couple tiny little dots in there just to brighten it up a tad. Nothing major. And then I take the Real Techniques mini blender, and I've already gotten most of the moisture out of it. And then I start to blend out the concealer. Before I go in to set the concealer, I take the flat end again of the one that I use to put on the foundation, and I just kind of go on the underside so that there's not like a stark line of light and then dark. It just kind of makes a gradient where they just, one blends naturally into the other. For my under eye, I use the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder, and I use the same little sponge that I use to smooth out the concealer, and I just go into the product with the tip here, get about that much on my sponge, and just use that to set. I have never found a better method than using a damp sponge with powder. And I'm just rationally thinking that doesn't seem like that would be a good idea, but it literally just melts it into your skin. It does give you the matte finish, but it's not a dry and powdery finish. It's a more skin-like finish, and I love it. I tried 14, 18, 22 different combinations of products trying to find the most smooth under eye I could get, and this is my best practice that I have come across so far. So there's a Okie expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, it ain't broke, so I'm sticking with it. Now I go into the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder with my damp beauty blender that I use for the foundation, and just set mostly just the inner part of my face. I don't have a problem with oiliness or anything outside of this area. And so I concentrate all the powders in the center part of my face. And just so that there's no actual place that you can see where I said and where I didn't, I go in very lightly with this big no name. I guess it's not a no name. It's a no number Morphe brush. Just any big powder brush will do. And just so you know, don't go out and buy the exact things that I'm using. Use what you have, unless you think that what I'm using would benefit your makeup game, then do it. But you don't need all these things that I have to achieve the same result. Use what you have, make it work. Okay, so now I've got all the foundation, concealer, and all that. Now I've got kind of a flat surface, so I want to go back in and put some color and some highlight and some bronzer. And so I always start with the darkest part for me, which is a mini contour. I don't really do any harsh contouring unless I have a lot of time to burn, which is almost never. So I start with the Chocolate Soleil bronzer by Too Faced, and I'm using another no number Morphe brush, but it's just kind of a round domed duo fiber brush, and I dip that in. This is what I use to kind of carve out my cheekbones. So I just suck it in like that, and I go in from the ear down. And I kind of put the product down, and then I go back through and blend it. And do that on both sides, obviously. So that kind of gives a more sculpted cheekbone, kind of carves them out where they're more noticeable. I also have a rather broad forehead, and I always choose in the summertime to wear my hair up in a bun because it's hot here in Oklahoma, and so I like to try to minimize the size of my forehead. So I go around with the darker color all around my hairline and down my temple area, and that kind of gives the image of a smaller forehead. Finally, I go right down the sides of my jawline. And I don't do a lot of blending out with this darker color because I'm going to come in with a lighter bronzer and just kind of smooth everything out. This is to really sculpt everything out. And you can do a much harsher contour. I just choose not to. Now I take my Butter Bronzer by Physicians Formula and my Multitask Brush by Real Techniques. And I go in and just bronze like ordinary bronzing. If you don't know what ordinary bronzing is, just watch me. I go around my cheek area, up around my hairline, and this is going to be blending out some of that contour that I was doing. I also kind of pinch my brush together and go up the sides of my nose just to slightly contour that out. Under my lip, I've been told that makes the bottom lip look plumper and perkier and poutier. And then I go and do that again on the other side. One tip that I have been given before is to kind of go in a 3 formation if you need an idea of where to put it. I do kind of go down my neck because I would like for it to not seem like I have 14 chins. So that's it for bronzer. most people put their blushes on first and then go in with their highlighter. I like to do it the opposite. And the reason I like to do it the opposite is because I have the tendency to get a little happy or go ham with the highlighter. And so bringing the blush in afterwards kind of blends that out. You'll see like I always have these steps that start off with one thing and the next thing comes and blends it out for me. But I'm going to go in with my Laura Geller Gilded Honey. This is one of the most beautiful highlighters if you like golden. And I think on a kind of olive complected people like me, I think the golden and champagne colors look beautiful. And this is a Morphe M501. And I don't know that this is a highlighting brush, but that's what I'm going to use it for. First, I just go along my cheekbones. I kind of go in a windshield wiper back and forth motion at first, and then I go in circles to smooth it out. I like to concentrate it right on the end of my nose here and on my Cupid's bow. I really like that to show. I think it's pretty. And then the other cheekbone. Since I have some pore issues on the inner part of my face, I don't bring my highlighter down very far, just because highlighter tends to bring things forward, which is hence the word highlight. And you don't really want to highlight really big pores. It will accentuate them, and we don't want that. And after I've done that, I kind of like to go in kind of a C. And I like to put it a little bit over my brow. Yeah, we want that sun-kissed look. And maybe a tiny bit on the bridge of my nose. Like that. And just to get a little bit happy and a little bit extra, I'm going to take and top it with the Artist Couture powder here. And it's I mean, if you can just see that on the brush, I'm going to tap it off a tab, but it is really, it's not glittery, but it's very shimmery. I guess we might call it a little bit glittery. And I'm just going to do this on my cheeks. I'm not going to put it everywhere else. I'm just going to really bling out my cheeks. Like that. I finish every step with like that. But I'm showing you how, right? All right, now I'm going to use a Morphe S13, which is a angled blush brush, and my Down Boy blush by the Balm. I'm going to go in and give myself some rosy cheeks. But you can see as I'm doing this, I'm kind of going into where the highlighter is, and it kind of blends out the bottom there and gives you some pretty blush color along with kind of blending out that highlighter there. So that is the reason I put the blush on second. Now, if I go too far, or not too far necessarily, but if I blend out the highlighter too much, I'm still going to have a little bit left on my brush. So I can go back in and just kind of top it. You'll find out at least with my method of doing things, there's a lot of back and forth motions in there. And so I'm foundationed and powdered and highlighted and bronzed and blushed. And that is my foundation routine. That's my foundation 101. That's the way I do it. That doesn't necessarily mean the way that you need to do it, but it will give you some pointers on where to get started and some of the things that I have found that worked great for me, and so hopefully that will be helpful for you. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions at all, please put them down in the comment section, and I'll be glad to answer those for you. Also, if there is any particular technique or some kind of area of makeup that you're really unsure about that you would like me to do next, please also put that in the comments section. And I mean winged eyeliner, eyeshadow techniques, eyebrow routine. What would you like to see next? And I'll be glad to get that filmed for you. Well, I'm going to finish getting ready and get myself to church, and I will be seeing you guys soon, I hope. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.